Thank you for tuning in today. This is Shane Walker with Auto Velocity. I wanted to talk a little bit about the importance of direct mail compared to other advertising mediums. Now, all advertising mediums serve their purpose, but what's going to be the most beneficial for you as a dealership trying to draw qualified traffic to your showroom floor? Again, there's all sorts of advertising approaches that you could take. I personally have worked in all sorts of mediums, and what I find currently is direct mail is hitting the person at the exact time that they're looking for something. For instance, the people responding to your direct mail piece go to check their mailbox. By the way, 98% of people check their mail every single day. And when they check their mail, it's typically the decision maker that's checking the mail as well. So you're automatically putting yourself in the right hands automatically. And so there's not really a better approach than being right in their hand with a personalized message. Now when they get this mail piece, it's very important of how it's delivered. For instance, there are a lot of people, a lot of companies, delivering mail, and so how many of you have gone to your mailbox, open it up, and there's just a pile full of mail? It gets very easy over time to just start discarding everything in the round file without looking at it. You get very accustomed to determining what's solicitations and what's actually your personal mail. So nowadays, you have to be very creative in a delivery mechanism. And I call the delivery mechanism is basically what type of packaging the message is in. And again, you can get very creative. You can make it look very personalized, handwritten fonts, express envelopes, if you will. Half the battle of a successful direct mail piece is getting it in the home and looked at. Now you hear these rules, the 40-40-20 rule. And not that I disagree with that. However, you do need to send it to the right people. You do need to have the right message on it. And it does need to have somewhat of a catchy design. But the reality is if you don't get them to open it up, it doesn't matter who you're sending it to. It doesn't matter what your message is. It doesn't matter how cosmetically pleasing that direct mail piece is. So, the delivery mechanism is huge. A very big percentage of the success of your direct mail piece. So next time you launch a direct mail piece, whether it's with us or your current vendor that you've been working with for years and you have a trusted relationship, make sure that you start to pay attention to the delivery mechanism of the piece. Not to take away from the mailing list, I'm truly a proponent of a highly filtered mail list. The last thing you want to do is start throwing your message into every mailbox down the street, because particularly if you have good offers on there, you want to make sure that you're targeting the appropriate person. If you're not targeting the appropriate person, your message will fall on deaf ears. And that's money wasted. You dealerships out there are spending anywhere from mid-30 cents all the way up to over $1 a mail piece, and if you're putting it in the wrong hands, that's money wasted. Now, one thing I want to discuss with you today is when I personally reach out to dealerships and talk about direct mail, a lot of times the dealerships get hung up on price per piece. Not that this is not important. Obviously, it's you guys cutting the checks to the companies paying for the advertising, so you want to get the best deal, without question. But you need to look past that. You get into the direct mail pieces that are upwards of 80 cents, 90 cents, $1 per mailer. You need to get over that hump. Although the initial investment is more expensive, the piece is far less expensive because it generates a far greater return on your investment. For instance, you buy 10,000 pieces that are $1 a piece. That's $10,000. You buy 10,000 pieces at 35 cents, that's $3,500. So you look at the investment. You got 10,000 and then you got 3,500 pieces. And intuitively you may say, well, let's go with the 10,000 pieces for $3,500. That's a no-brainer. Well, the reality is that particular mailer is on a walk sequence mailer. You're literally hitting every door down the street or every apartment in a complex. If you drop that particular mailer in a bad area, you can eat up that 10,000 pieces real quick and have a dud sell. Now, on the other hand, when you have a targeted mailer, you're skipping houses. You're saying, no, I don't want to go to that house. No, I don't want to go to that house because I know that person either has a 520 credit score or not enough income, etc. Now you're starting to strategically target people. So if you potentially get into a bad zip code, you're not probably going to be sending a lot of mailers to that zip code because you're ostracizing and eliminating a lot of those people that don't qualify for to receive that mailer. So if you can get past the initial investment, those expensive mailers, if you will, actually are less expensive. Thank you for tuning in today. I'm Shane Walker with Auto Velocity. Until the next message, I'll talk to you soon.